You read that right. It's time for the ultimate second press showdown. Hi, I'm Jeremy with DTF Superstore, and in this video, we're going to look at 11 different second press methods and we're going to compare them. Now, we did a video a few weeks ago on T-Seal, is it a game changer, and compared it with a couple other second press methods. Well, between the conversations that went on in the YouTube comments as well as over on our Facebook group, we realized we didn't do a very complete job of looking at multiple kinds. Also, I got a lot of criticism that I made the graphic too optimized for DTF, basically. We all know that there's different ways you can optimize your graphics so that with DTF it looks, feels, presents a lot better. And then people also mentioned like sound, feel, look, a whole bunch of different metrics that we didn't look at in that video. So what we've done is we've taken a lot of that feedback. Specifically, I need to shout out Nemanja Mirkovic. He made a post with like 14 different second press methods. We're testing out 11 of those. So big shout out to him for putting together that list, but we're gonna look and see really which one actually performs the best. We're gonna have this big table here where we're gonna look at and we're gonna rate each second press method. We're gonna rate it for feel before washing as well as the feel after washing. We're also gonna take a look at the look of it visually. We're also gonna listen to the sound, and we're gonna check the durability. First, we're gonna start out, we've already printed all of our transfers. Let's get them pressed on the garments. All of the transfers are printed on the exact same machine with the exact same film and ink settings at the exact same time and run through the dryer. So it's all the same. And then our press methods, we're doing two presses. One press at 285 for 20 seconds, and then our second press with the varying materials at 285 for 20 seconds. So everything across the board is the same except for what we're using for that second press. Now I've made sure that I have a little tag on each one of these saying what the second press method was. That way, when I run them through the washing machine 10 times like we're going to, I know which one is which. Okay, this is the first feel test. So we're gonna go through each one and give it a rating. This first one is nothing, so no second press at all. Feels very plasticky. I'm gonna give that one a 1 star. Yeah, feels very plasticky. Nothing like the actual shirt. This next one is our parchment paper. Definitely softer, doesn't feel as thick. Still has some like, I don't know, some structure to it to a degree. It's not super soft, but it's definitely better than the first one. I'm gonna, since that's a 1 star, I'm probably gonna give this a 3 star. Okay, next we have our Teflon sheet. Feel-wise, feels a hair more structured. I'm gonna give this one a 3 star. It's close to being a 2 star, but I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 3 star. Next, we have our T-Seal. It still has some structure, but it doesn't feel as plasticky. I'm gonna give this one a 4 star. I might later decide to give it a 5 star, but at this point I'm giving it a 4 star. Okay, next we have our butcher paper. Feels pretty structured. I'm gonna give this one 3 stars. I wanna say it's not quite as good as the parchment paper, but I don't wanna give it a 2. So I'm gonna give it a 3 star. This next one is the silicone mat. Feels good. Still, again, some decent structure there. This one feels pretty good. I'm gonna give this one a 3 star as well. I'm feeling like I'm rating all these at 3 star, but they're also feeling very, very similar. The only ones that felt dramatically different so far was the nothing, the no second press, and the T-Seal. Those are the only ones that were dramatically different. Craft paper is next. Let's check the feel on that. It feels just like the last one. I mean, almost identical to the last one. Oh no, it's a hair softer. It's a hair softer. I'm gonna change my answer. The TCL, I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm actually gonna give this one a 4. It actually feels really thin. It's still got a little bit of structure to it, but it actually feels pretty good. I'm gonna give that one a 4. That actually feels better than a lot of the rest of them have felt. All right, copy paper. Don't like this one. I don't like it at all. I'm giving this one, this is gonna get a 1 star. Yeah, I dislike the feel of this one very much. I'm gonna feel what the original one felt. Okay, I can't give it a 1 star. It feels nothing like that first one. But it's definitely my least favorite of the second press ones. So, 2 star. Next we have our silicone paper. Feels like pretty much most of the rest of them. So I'm gonna give this one a 3 star. It's actually got a little more structure. Actually, I'm gonna push this one down to a 2 star. It's got too much structure. It doesn't feel, yeah, 2 star. Next is our embroidery stabilizer. Okay, this one feels really thick. It's a little softer though. Feels a little more pliable, a little less structured, but it feels thicker than the other ones did. Nah, I'm gonna give this one a 2 star. Kind of soft on the front, but the rest of it is not giving me good feelings. All right, next we've got our old t-shirt. Okay, feels pretty soft to the touch, but I still feel some structure to it. It feels very similar to most of them, so I'm gonna give it a 3 star. And last but not least, used DTF film. Do not like it. Feels plasticky. Feels very similar to the, I mean, it's not quite as plasticky, but it is by far the worst of any of the second presses. So I'm gonna give this one 1 star. It definitely gets 1 star. From a look standpoint, as you can see really clearly on screen, the fibers of the shirt. So one of the reasons I picked this shirt was I wanted some defined fibers. I'm seeing very minimal texture coming through the shirt itself. 1 star. I'm seeing some good texturing coming across the entire graphic, but I do see some splotchiness, some parts that aren't quite as pressed, little unevenness. So I'm gonna give this a 3 star. I'm seeing decent texture showing up visually on the front of the print. It's not deep, it's very similar to the parchment paper. So I'm gonna give this a 3 star as well. I'm seeing consistent pressing of the ink into the fabric. In some cases, it looks just like the fabric texture, especially in the yellow areas. It looks just like the fabric texture. This 100% gets a 5 star. This is really quite impressive when you look at it closely, and it's consistent. There's not like little spots where it's not pressed in well. That is impressive. I'm seeing some good depression into the fabric, but it is pretty splotchy. There's some inconsistencies here and there. It doesn't look as consistent. I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I feel like I'm giving everything 3 stars today. I'm seeing some decent pressure. I can see there's some spots where I can see the texture really well, but overall, it's not quite as pressed in, and there's some spots where I can't really see the texture. So I'm actually gonna give this one a 2 star. I see good consistent texture coming through. A little bit splotchy, it's not super consistent, but it's actually pretty impressive. It's along the lines of a couple of the higher ones. So I'm gonna give this a 4 star for the look. pretty consistent. No, I'm seeing some splotchiness. I'm gonna give this one a 3. I can see some texture coming through, but it's also a bit splotchy. I am seeing some texture, but a lot of splotchiness, areas where I can't see the texture coming through. So I'm gonna give this one actually a 2-star for the look. Now this one has a lot of texture to it. However, the texture is not just from the shirt below. It's definitely coming from the embroidery stabilizer above. So there is some good texture coming through, but because the texture's coming mostly from above, not from the shirt below, I'm gonna actually give this one a 2. You might argue with me, you might tell me I'm being crazy, but I'm looking to have the fibers of the shirt kind of coming through a little bit more. That's the look I'm going for. Looks pretty good. I see some texture coming through. Actually, it's pretty consistent. So this one is consistently showing me the fabric from below, and it's not splotchy, but it's not nearly as deep. So I'm actually gonna give this one a 4-star because it is consistent, but just not as deep of a press. I am seeing some texture coming through, but it is very splotchy, like not consistent texture. Yeah, I don't love this one. I'm gonna give it a 3 because I am seeing some texture. No, actually no, I'm gonna go with a 2. I am seeing a little texture, but it is not deeply embedded. All right, this next part is gonna get a little weird. One of the members of our Facebook forum, Regina Hurtado, mentioned that she gets negative feedback about the sound of the transfer, and so she requested that I test the sound. So if you're not familiar with ASMR, we're gonna go ASMR on these shirts, and if you find this next part weird, I am gonna put the time code up on the screen to skip to it, but you asked for it, Regina. Here's your sound test. Welcome to DTF ASMR. Let's listen. For you, it's only been like a second, but for me, it's been almost a week. So I took all of these shirts home and I washed them. I have a GE front load washer. We did a standard cold cycle with some Tide laundry detergent and ran them through the dryer on high temperature, just kind of like, again, normal settings. But we did it 10 times, wash and dry. All right, change of plans. I started going through all of these, and it's hard to rate the feel because I'm kind of comparing it to the previous test, but I can't bump all of them up 1 star if it feels better because of the wash. And also with the durability, I think there's only a couple that are gonna show a kind of a lowish durability, and the rest of them are gonna be the same. So basically what I'm gonna do is an overall rating, and that overall rating is gonna include some things like the look, feel, the durability, if I'm seeing any damage, if I'm seeing any spots where maybe it looks like the ink is not adhered as nicely to the garment, and I'm gonna check the stretchiness of it. So it's kind of gonna be an all-encompassing rating after 10 washes. So let's get into it. I can see more fiber texture from the shirt below. However, I do not like the look of it. There's definitely some spots where the ink has come off from it. I don't love this one. Definitely not durable. Does feel better than it did before, but it still feels very like there's a sticker stuck on here kind of a thing. Overall, not impressed with the results after 10 washes. So I'm gonna give this one, or nothing, a 1 star. Feels quite nice. Softer than it did originally. So I think all these are gonna come out a little bit softer than they originally did. I think that's just what washing does for them. I'm seeing more of the fabric texture coming through. Durability wise, I'm not seeing any indications that it's releasing from the fabric at all. Stretch wise, I like it. I'm gonna give this one a 4-star overall after the 10 washes. Again, I'm seeing a little bit more of the fabric texture coming through, but there are some spots where like the yellow's kind of coming up a little bit. So the durability is kind of low on this one. It looks quite a bit different. Stretch wise, we're good, but again, there's just some spots in the yellow that I'm not impressed with. So I'm actually gonna give this one a 2-star. I don't think this feels any better than it did from the initial first wash. I mean, the texture, it is so fully embedded into this. I can see the texture from the garment coming through literally everywhere. I mean, it's really impressive. I want to say it's not an improvement in softness after 10 washes. It feels about like it did before, but it looks fully embedded into the garment. It looks like it's kind of a part of the garment more than anything else. Let's check our stretchiness. Durability, it looks identical to the other day. Yeah, I'm pulling on that pretty hard and I'm just seeing it move with the fabric. That T-seal's pretty impressive. I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. I'm pleased with it. Definitely softer than the first time I touched it. However, again, we got some yellow that's coming up here. So durability on this one is not good. Definitely seen some spots where I see fabric texture and then I don't see fabric texture. Whew. This one's getting a 2. Yeah, this one didn't work out so good from a durability after washing standpoint. Okay, again, we have some spots here where the ink has come up. I'm definitely seeing a nice even texture of the fabric coming through, but it looks rough. Yeah, there's multiple spots where I'm seeing the ink has come off. I mean, from a feel standpoint, it's great, but durability is really poor on this one. I'm gonna give this one a 1 star. I'm not impressed. Feels a little softer. However, I'm not, like in the yellows, I'm seeing good texture, but then also some spots where it looks like it's not as adhered to the garment. There's no ink that's come off like some of the other really bad ones from a durability standpoint. But yeah, it's just very inconsistent. After all the high ratings this one got earlier in this process, I was expecting more out of it. But after the 10 washes, I'm not impressed. It's not holding up as well as honestly it performed early on in this process. So I'm actually gonna give this one 2 stars, not because it's coming apart, but because it looks so different and it looks very rough. I'm not a fan. 2 stars. Okay. So definitely, again, like many of the other ones, it is a little softer, but in the white, I'm seeing some darker kind of flecks coming through. It's not looking as good. There's no missing ink or anything like that. But yeah, in the yellow, it's kind of just, it's become a little spotty. There's some little spots of darkness in like the white. So I am not loving this one. Oh, and when I stretch it, I can see more dark flecks show up in the yellow. This one's getting a 2 overall. I see a couple spots, one spot at least, where the ink has come off and I can see the shirt color through it. Again, I'm seeing more texture of the garment, but it's really splotchy, and there's some spots where it like almost looks like it's bubbled up a little bit. It's not a dramatic thing, but it's a subtle thing, and I don't like the look of it at all. I'm gonna give this one a 2-star. I'm not giving it a 1-star because it's not like falling apart, but it does not look good. It just doesn't look like it's holding up very well. Okay. I like this one. I'm seeing good consistent texture from the shirt fibers coming through. I'm seeing it's very consistent. I'm not seeing any weird like splotchy or like kind of bubbly parts. It feels a little bit structured still. I know this one is kind of always felt a little bit thicker than some of the other ones, and I'm not sure why it feels thicker. It's the exact same kind of transfer. I mean, I'm generally pleased with this one. It's not looking like it's degrading like some of the other ones. So I'm gonna give this one a 3 stars. Embroidery stabilizer looked like it did a pretty good job after washing. Feels okay, feels pretty good. Not thrilled with how it looks. I feel like there's some spots in these black where it's not as consistent of a color. In some of these red areas, I can see some spots where it doesn't look like it's adhered as strongly. It's not bad, but it also doesn't look really like it's holding up super well. You know, I'm gonna give this one a 3-star because it feels pretty good. It's not degrading, there's nothing coming off of it. It just doesn't look super fresh and clean. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3-star. Don't love the feel of it. It is slightly softer than it was before, but you know what, it looks like it held up really quite well. I'm seeing good consistent texture coming through. Not seeing any weird bubbling, but it doesn't feel as nice. Still feels kind of thick. I give this one a 3, right in the middle of the road. It's not great, it's not bad. Yeah, that's what I'm giving it. And the results are in. On the first feel after the second press, our clear winner is the T-Seal, though craft paper was pretty close behind with a 4-star. Next we have the look, and again, T-Seal was the winner on look, with craft paper and old t-shirt a close second. Next is the rub sound, and that was clearly won by silicone matte and craft paper. T-Seal, who won the previous 2 rounds, only had a 2-star on this. On the crinkle sound, all of them performed very poorly, except for T-Seal with a 3 and embroidery stabilizer with a 3. Then the overall feel after 10 washes, the clear winner again was T-Seal, followed up second by parchment paper. So the overall winner of the second press showdown was the T-Seal with an overall 4-star rating. In second place was craft paper with an overall 3-star rating. And third place was parchment paper with a 2.6-star rating. One thing you'll notice is even though craft paper received second place, after 10 washes, it was nowhere near as good as the parchment paper or the T-Seal. So what did we learn through this whole process? The bottom line is we do have a clear winner, and it is T-Seal, for sure. However, one of the things that I'm sure you'll notice by looking at the chart, and I also have a link down in the description below where you can actually download that chart, is that T-Seal from a sound standpoint was not a great performer for the rub or kind of feel test. Craft paper, until the 10 washes, was a front runner for even possibly winning this little competition. So I'm hoping that with this chart, you guys will be able to handle objections from your customers. So if a customer is like, hey, I hate the way it sounds when you rub it, well, you know, don't give them T-seal. Do your second press with craft paper or the silicone mat, because that gives you the best sound from that standpoint. If people don't love the crinkly sound. So use this chart as a way to address objections with your customers to try to give them the best overall experience with your DTF prints. And we've discussed this before. There are a myriad of different things you can do to the garment to make it look and feel better. I think graphic control and making adjustments to the image and your ink levels are the biggest area where you can make a large difference. I'm sure many of you will have noticed that I have this printed on both sides. And I got so much flack for my first test that the image was too optimized for DTF. So on this front side, I went crazy. I went super high ink levels, like just below flooding. It was crazy, but what I found as I started to do this video was that when you use too much ink, there's almost no difference between any of these second press methods. So I reduced the ink level down, and that's why our back side is what the test was actually run on, because we lowered our ink level so that we could actually get a comparison between the second press methods. Now this graphic was also not optimized for DTF. There is no color knockouts. There's nothing happening in here to make this transfer feel any better from a print side. I've even had some of our folks comment about doing like craft paper, then silicone paper. That's their favorite method. Doing two different second press methods is not really sustainable for a business that's doing multiple garments at once. Also, pressing at a different temperature for the second press is also not ideal, because then you're waiting for the heat press to cool off or heat back up. It's not efficient. So what we wanted to do with this test was go with the most efficient setup as possible, which is why we did the same temperature. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive. I definitely had some fun putting it together and discovering that there really is a clear winner, and quite frankly, a really good second place and third place. I think parchment paper is a great option. We will be carrying the T-seal here soon. As soon as it's up on our website, you'll see a link down in the description below where you can buy that. But again, it's like most things with this industry. Find what works best for your process, for your setup, your business. But yeah, T-seal is pretty impressive. If you guys like this video, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you're notified when we release a new DTF video. We will have all of these shirts on display in our showroom in Gilbert, Arizona. So if you want to come by and actually put hands on these garments and feel the differences, we encourage you to come by, visit us, and you can check out all of these shirts. Thanks for sticking along with what has been probably our longest video thus far, and probably will be for a while. But it needed a deep dive. Thanks for staying and watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.